All right, welcome everybody. It's Doug here with the LincolnList.com. This is the stock market review and watch list for the 6th of June. Hope all is well with you. As always, if you need some help with your trading, feel free to visit us at the LincolnList.com. Take a free trial to our live interactive stock trading community. As always, we'll begin talking a little bit about the SPY. And for lack of better phrases that I've run out of, I guess the only thing I can say here is this is one resilient little booger, because no matter what gets thrown at this thing, it just finds a way to turn around and start melting up. We saw a couple of early sell activity this week, only to see it finish stronger later towards the day. Ramp at some point, it's almost like clockwork. You are going to see a ramp up in this SPY and other market indexes. You know, sometimes it's starts the day out that way. Sometimes it's down for an hour and then you get the ramp, or sometimes it waits all day like it did the other day, and then you just run right into the close. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't really seem that anything that gets thrown at this. You know, we had bad, I guess, translated as bad job numbers here on Friday. So you saw a gap down and some early selling, only to see this thing kind of grind up. And what we were talking about in our trade room is, at this point, I can't see anything outside of the Fed, which meets, I believe it's on the 16th of this month. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's when we're talking about the next Fed meeting. The Fed is the only thing that can influence the direction of this market and make it stick. Now, we've seen oil inventories, we've seen the jobs number, and several other reports come out, and it causes a very short-term reaction. Like I said, you saw the employment numbers, sends it selling early, but it just keeps bouncing, just like a trampoline. It just keeps ripping back up. It just will not stay down. So the only thing I think at this point, because there's been good news, there's been bad news, there's just been, lame news or whatever it is. It doesn't make a difference. Keeps finding a way up. Again, I think the only thing that can influence this now, that will make it stick and send you, if you're looking for a correction, would be the Fed. Now, as we look at this technically, you're just sitting right up here back to, the April highs. Now, this has certainly been an area of resistance for this. This goes all the way back for a couple of years. If I pull up like a weekly chart, let's take a look. It's kind of been stuck in this frame right here for a long time. Like if you draw a little box here, it's definitely been stuck towards the upside, but it's been spending more time towards the top than it has been down here in the bottoms. And you got a really nice, I guess you want to call this a good flag setup, going back into some of the resistances from April, and then that's taking you back into Thanksgiving area. It just appears as if this thing really wants to sniff out these all-time highs and get up towards the 213s, 215s. We'll see if that, how this approaches as we work to the Fed. Now, it doesn't make too much of a difference sometimes the way this market works. You're always seeing bullish sectors, and these bullish sectors are staying strong for several days at a time. Something I want to look at here is AMBA. This is a pretty good chart here on the bottom, and you got a really good gap. Not much action on Friday. It at least held the gap. You didn't see just a continual rip up like we saw something in OLED. But these stocks that have been coming out of the bottoms on their daily charts have been relatively strong and have been putting in consistent runs. Now, you are at this resistance level that we go all the way back into March. So just to go into this thing with a gap up and long something like this, it may not be the best kind of day trade you could be looking for. There would be two ways I would look at this. I'll just tell you that way. First, if you're able to consolidate here, and for maybe a couple of days, and then take out this 47.37 high, that would be a pretty good long, I think. Or maybe that happens on Monday, where you can kind of tap that level a few times, building some support or building some nice trending patterns throughout the day, and then see that breakout would be a great trade. If it already gaps up, like we wake up Monday and you see this thing's up another 10%, then my first thought would be to go into possibly a short sell, because you'd be talking about a stock here, relatively over the last month was from 35 to 46. So if you end up going to 50s, you'd be looking at a pretty substantial percentage gain. And if you had that nice para action or some heavy volume in the morning where people were chasing into this, then perhaps it could shut up a short. So AMBA, we could go either direction here. Thinking in this tape, long is probably the setup here, but when you gap up like this, maybe it works for you, but it's definitely something I don't care too much for. I don't want to chase gap ups. It's not what I do. But keep it up here. I think you're going to see some movement here out of AMBA one way or the other. Could be a nice little tradable vehicle. Also, this WDAY doesn't look too bad here as well for a long. You've got a pretty nice pattern that's been built here on this daily chart. And I've talked about it before because I got my chicken scratch lines here. But, this has been a long-term flag for a couple of months. And you finally closed above this 79.77. That was kind of its resistance for a while. So I can see how this thing can move back into some of the earlier resistances of 80 or latter resistances of 83 to 84. Again, just like we had talked about with AMBA, you already have a solid move here, a pretty good, like a decent ramp up, not a great ramp here, but a pretty good ramp here late in the session that goes from 78s into almost 80. Actually, it does end up at 80. So you get a pretty strong move here. That's not really where I would want this. I wouldn't want to be like the first person walking into a buy. I think you'd have to look at it a lot like AMBA, that if you got to pull back into some of the moving averages, or you were able to use this near-term support of 79.50, maybe 79.20 if there was a opening. Like here's a great example. If you look at Friday's chart, it closed pretty strong on Thursday, then gaps down to 77.26. You start the day with a red, then it comes steaming right back. So if there's a way that you can get a small flush like that, then it could be a pretty good spot to pick it up and let this thing kind of grind out. I don't think I would want it right here at 80 unless it really was able to establish itself throughout the course, of the morning, giving you some good support areas. But let's watch this WDAY. A really good looking daily chart here. It looks like it wants to break out. It's probably not the hugest runner that you'll ever see in your life, but not too bad of a stock. I like the way this daily chart looks. Also, NBIX doesn't look too bad here. You've got a nice little flag setting up. We saw some of these biotechs. I mean, this is a touchy sector right here because some of these biotechs have just been, not some, a lot of these biotechs have gone, ape crazy here over the last couple of weeks, especially things like PBYI. You got some stocks 75, 100%. Gone on 9 to 12 day binge runs. So when you get in this area, this is how biotechs work sometimes. People kind of swarm around them and they'll run for days upon days, and then when it's time for them to fade, they'll fade upon days. But you're in a strong environment right now for biotechs. Perhaps if we continue that strength throughout the week, over 51 looks like a pretty good trade here to the long side. Now, if you're looking for shorts, I would have to say if we see a sustained biotech fade, then this PBYI is probably a pretty good one. It already sold off nice and heavy on Friday, which was really the first red day this thing has had since about the 13th of May. So it was due. I mean, I'm definitely not interested in buying this thing. But it's again, like we talked about some of the other stocks previously breaking out. You don't want to be chasing shorts either. Shorts chase too. That's what happens a lot. They see these stocks that go up. This is where these short squeezes start. Is they see these stocks go up for 2 to 3 days, and as soon as there's a red bar to start the morning, all these shorts pile on, and then that's why the stock starts turning around the other way and starts ripping, because they get spiked on. That's a bad thing to do as well as chase shorts. So, want to watch this one here if you're looking for a good short. I mean, even though it's down 7%, this thing's got a lot of room, probably an easy 30 in it. If we can see some sustained fade, you have things like Rare. Also a pretty good one here. Not too bad of a setup. You see they kind of look the same. We've spent a couple of weeks in a pretty nice run-up. So looking for some good levels, some good pivots, maybe some failed breakouts to short into. There's a couple of different variations here that you could work at. So we'll go with that as far as a few ideas. Hard to tell what you're going to wake up to. And I think that's when I've talked before about the importance of a live trading community is watch lists are iffy. It's great to plan. Get a lot of traders that kind of misuse this term. It's like you got to do your homework. You got to plan. Yeah, you can plan all you want, but it's like once the game starts, it's a completely different. It's a completely different arena. You got to be able to react quickly because things in the market change, and I think it's where traders they struggle because they get hell bent on one direction of a stock. They're like, it's a long. This is a long. It's a long. I want to buy the breakout. And then it's a failed breakout and they get smoked. You've got to be able to change and change often. Those who can change and eliminate biases and think on the fly and react quickly and process information quickly and not hesitate. those are the ones that stick around for a long time. Those are the traders that make money. So if you're kind of struggling, visit thelincolnlist.com, see if our educational community can help you. As always, if you need anything at all, you don't have to be a member to just pick my brain or ask me questions or whatever. Support@thelincolnlist.com is my email. Thanks for watching this video. Enjoy your week. Talk to you soon.